This video speaks about the very important SQL commands which are very well to be known by everyone before they actually start working with the SQL workbench. Before you actually get into SQL workbench and start writing your own queries, you should actually understand what are the various commands SQL actually has. So in this video, I'll take you through most important SQL commands. There are so many other commands that we don't touch base at this moment. Whatever the basic commands or very important commands SQL actually has and which we all need to learn pretty importantly, that will be covered in this particular video. So quickly taking you through. So SQL actually has so many commands. You can call them commands or you can call them statements. Both are one and the same. And they are actually classified into different categories. One of the categories is data definition language, which is in short form mentioned as DDL commands. So there are four important DDL commands like create, drop, alter, and truncate. And this slide is pretty much self-explanatory. You can read and you can understand the role of each of these commands as you get into SQL workbench and you would like to create a database, or if you want to create a table, you want to create an index, or you want to create some views. There is one single command that you use in all these requirements called create. So SQL is like as good as an English language. So the way you wanted to do something in which you communicate in English to other people, the same language, most of the cases, SQL has the similar kind of the words to be used, which is why remembering the commands or statements of SQL is very easy, as it's a part and parcel of our daily vocal words. So create is one important command which is a part of data definition language. Why we call it a definition language? Because we are trying to define new things to your database. So I have a space, a physical storage location or a cloud storage location I have, and I need to store data there. In this particular location, I'm trying to create a database. As I say create database, I need to use the command create if I have to create a database there. And once I've created a database and I started using it for some period of time, once all is done, then I see that my database has been outdated. I don't have any other requirement of the database. I wanted to empty my space, so I would like to delete my database. How do I do that? I use this by using the command drop. So drop as a command or a statement helps you delete the databases, delete the tables, delete indexes, anything that you would like to delete from your database or from the storage. You'll use the command called drop. Similar way, you would like to make some modifications to existing objects, existing databases, existing tables, any such kind of modifications that you would like to make, you will be using the command or a statement called alter. Similarly, you have a table of data. Say I have entered some 500 records in this particular table. 500 records of data is already there. And then I wanted to delete all this data, but the structure of the table, which means the columns or the fields which my table has, I don't want to remove these tables. I wanted the table to remain same. I wanted the table fields to be remain same. Only thing I want to delete is the records. So I just wanted to make a table empty. In such case, I'll use the command called truncate. So one of the most important classifications that we had to learn in SQL is data definition language, where we have four commands: create, drop, alter, and truncate. Moving forward, we have the second category of commands called data manipulation language commands, which are also abbreviated as DML commands, which are again four in number. One of them, first one is insert into, which will help you add records to your table. If you wanted to enter data under various columns or various fields in SQL, you'll be using this command called insert into. Then once the data is inserted, you would like to modify the existing records. Maybe you wanted to change some names, you wanted to change some values, or you wanted to edit some age, date, whatever the modifications you would like to make to the data. See, I've already entered the gender of the person as male, but I understood it is not actually male, it is female. So I just need to go and make a modification. Such kind of a changes, if we would like to make to the data, then we usually go with update. So data manipulation language deals with the data which is inside the table. It has nothing to do with things that are outside the table. All the DML commands, data manipulation language commands, are actually used to make manipulation, to make changes or updations to the data which is inside the table. There is a table and you would like to add the data to it, use insert into command. You want to make changes to the data, you use update command. You wanted to delete some records, you use delete command. And you wanted to select and retrieve the data to see what does this data, what kind of a data exists in the timetable. I want to retrieve the data within the table, then we use select command. So all of these four commands that we have in DML are only dealing with the data which is already there in the table, or data which you have to create for the table. Either adding a data to the table, or you're making modifications to the table, or you're deleting the data inside the table, or you're trying to view the data in the table. All of these four commands would be a part of data manipulation language, and these are widely used commands for your day-to-day requirements. Then the third category we have is DCL, which is data control language. This speaks about, we have already learned that SQL gives you the control over the database with respect to giving access or removing access to some people, which kind of a data you would like the access to be given to which people. Say for some people who are working in HR department, they should be able to get the access relating to employees data, whereas the one who is working in the sales department, they should be able to get the access pertaining to the sales. And again, within the same department of sales, the access restrictions which are there for the sales executive versus the access that would be given to the sales manager versus the access given to the state head would not be the same. So state head would be able to see the entire view of the sales that are happening across various regions, various territories, and the sales that are done by various sales team, various area managers, various sales managers. So that way the access will be wider when it comes to the state heads, whereas the access will be slightly restricted to the sales managers at every branch, and the access will be even more restricted to the areas, to the team leaders within the same branch, and the access is very much shrinked, and it is only specific to individual when it comes to sales executive. So these kind of giving access or revoking the access. When I say revoking the access, you are trying to remove the access from certain people. These kind of access control is possible in SQL, and those commands are grant and revoke. And these two commands together are categorized as data control languages. So DCL commands are grant, which gives user access privileges, whereas revoke, that remove user access privileges. And then the fourth category of the commands that we have is data control, database control command. As before one, in third category it is data control, whereas with respect to fourth category it is database control command. Let me explain you what exactly database control command is all about. Let's say you have got some 20 databases within your storage space, and then you're now trying to create some table. Now the computer does not understand in which database this table has to go and store. I repeat, let's say there are 10 to 20 databases that you have. So I have like this day I have a database. Say there can be so many databases in your storage space, and I'm trying to create a table. I'm trying to create a table like this probably. I'm trying to create a table like this, and now I have to instruct the computer this table is created for which database. If I've got, let's say, another database here, I would say there is another database like that. There may be so many databases. Now when I'm trying to create a table, I should tell the computer where this table has to be stored. So before I create the table, I need to use the command called use and mention the name of the database and execute that query. That gives an instruction to the computer moving forward. Whatever the tables I'm created, whatever the queries I'm writing, whatever the data I would like to revoke, or whatever the permissions I would like to revoke, all of these queries which I'm writing are pertaining to one particular database where I've mentioned as use database. So which is, let's say there are two databases, a database 1 and let's say database 2, and I've just mentioned using command use database 1. Once I've instructed that and then I've created a table, so by default this table will go and get stored in database 1 because I've mentioned use database 1. So that's how use command is very important. So without use command, whatever the queries you write will be of no use because your computer doesn't understand where these queries have to be executed. All right. Then the last important category of SQL commands, though there are so many other commands in SQL which we'll be learning as we progress in our SQL training. So the fifth category of SQL commands is transaction control language, which is called TCS, where there are three different commands: commit, rollback, and save point. Commit whatever the changes you made to the database, to the table, or to anything in the database. You are just trying to commit and say, yes, all the changes which I made are to be saved. All my transactions have to be saved. All the changes I made have to be saved to the database. The moment I commit, it will get committed to all the changes. Similar way, I've just saved something and then I realized that was wrong. Like we do Control Z, undo in Microsoft Office. Similar way, there is something called rollback. Rollback, which means whatever the previous actions you have done, whatever the previous transactions you have performed, that will be undo. So that undoes the transaction changes that you made. So that is what we do with rollback, which is as much as similar to your MS Office undo function. Yeah. Then we have save point. This is where we can create some points, transaction points. Let's say you'll be creating a point till today, and then you'll be working for a week's time. Then you would like to go back to the previous history, and this save point will help you go back to that particular point and see what has happened till that day. So you can create save points within the transactions, and this will help you retrieve the information to a certain point wherever it is. So these three functions would need more practice to understand exactly what they can actually do to the program, or what it can actually do to the database. So we'll be learning it more in detail practically as we get into this particular stage. In the meantime, we'll try to learn the basic commands of SQL to start with in my next video. So in next video, let us try to get through how do we create a database, how do we use the database, how will we know what kind of a databases are already created in my storage, and then how do we create a tables. All of these functions, all of these queries we'll try to explore in SQL Workbench in my next video. See you soon there.